I'm
Yep.
Riley. I'm 20.
You got a little something there, Pilleater? You got something to show the class?
No, I was just looking at some videos. I was like, what could? But it was just on the other. in the news. But
yeah, it was all very educational, if you want to know the truth about it, right? Well, shit, I gotta tell you, it's been a long time since I've done one of these shows. I almost forget how to do it, but there's one thing that I don't forget, and that is our epic bass grill build theme song. My grillers, are you ready for another fucking show? Let's fucking go, baby!
Yeah. Okay.
Holy
I'm
fuck!
a boomer. I think I'm a zoomer. I think
Back in the flesh, back from Alaska. Can you
Okay.
believe it?
E-double.
My God.
W-A.
My God, people.
I-T-E. Coming with the heat.
Welcome to the Grillcast, the only podcast in the whole entire fucking world dedicated to radical centrism. I am your host, Orion. Micah could not make it today, our esteemed and loved co-host. He is currently getting testosterone replacement therapy. It's weird, actually. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, but did you know, according to him, apparently it's possible to have your T levels be negative?
What?
I know, it's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. But instead, we have a star-studded cast. We have our returning guest, Erik Blare, and a brand new, shiny, untarnished, pure, and wholesome Chungus 100 guest. We have Joan Alley, otherwise known as Pilleater, author of Suicidal, Asian, and Promiscuous.
thanks,
The
Anya.
muse of neglect.
Thank you, Orion. Thank you, and thank you, Erik, for having me on.
So, I want to kind of start off with Erik today because we have a brand new video. Some of you might remember Erik. He's the top or the bottom gay griller we have, and I don't know. I frankly don't want to know. But he's back once again with another devastating wreckage of a bureau cuck dork. So, before we watch this video, go over how you absolutely destroyed the Zio shill, I have to ask, what is your process for finding these politicians? You know, once, that's just a coincidence. You happen to see a guy, you happen to harass him. Twice? I mean, I've been watching Dexter with my wife recently, and is your version of the Dark Passenger one where you just harass pro-Israel politicians? What the hell is going on here?
Yeah, you gotta open your eyes, man. You gotta open your eyes. And once you do that, in the corner of your vision, you might be like, oh, there's that congressman. So basically, and it's crazy because that first video was in DC, and then this last video was in California because I'm in California now, and it was at an Indian festival. So it was like an Indian cultural festival, yeah. And it was on Indian Independence Day. So I have a feeling a lot of
that must have smelled awful.
Well, there was a lot of good smelling food, but no, it was a cultural day, and he was there, and it was like, oh, he's got one of those booths, and he's up there giving a speech like, oh, if you need a passport, you can come to my office. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's so great.
My
wow.
God.
So I see him, standing there from the distance, and I'm like, ooh, this seems like something we have these phones in our pockets for, you want to get in person's face. And from a distance, okay, so he goes into the VIP area next to the stage. And I'm like, you know what? I better take this opportunity. So I pull my phone out. I walk into the VIP area, and he's eating food. And I'm like, hey, can I get a selfie? And he kind of smiles like, oh, okay, I'll get you a selfie. Okay.
The tried and true tactic. Hey, can I get a selfie? I'm totally not about to destroy you.
Yes. So I, pulled out the phone, and then I'm like, hey, I'm here with Brad Sherman, genocide Democrat. This is a Democrat who supports starving kids while he's eating Indian food. Look at him eating the Indian food while he supports genocide. Which, I thought there was a certain irony to that, in my opinion.
I've got to ask you, so did you really have to look him up, or could you just kind of see it in his beady little eyes?
No, well, there was a picture, because he had one of those constituent service booths where it had a big picture of him, and I'm looking at the picture, and I'm like, okay, he's catfishing with that picture, because he doesn't look like that anymore, And and he's not a good looking guy. If he was good looking, I would give him that credit. I always do. But no, I mean,
you're fair and honest.
Exactly. That's the one thing you can't joke about. So I think he's, but I had to Google him just to see the greatest hits. And one of the greatest hits of his was he was in the congressional cafeteria and the lady was like, sir, you're eating food while children are starving. And he's just like, you want to kill all the Jews? Get away from me. I'm eating. And it was just like, I feel like the tide is turning. Now's the time to do a little public reaction. So I did that in his face. And then people were like, who are you? Get out of here. And they pushed me out, and then I just walked away because I didn't want to get ejected necessarily. But I checked my phone.
You didn't want ICE called on
I know.
you. It doesn't really matter, if you're allowed to be here or not.
I didn't have my papers on me at the time. So
right. One-way ticket to Guantanamo.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
Let's go ahead and watch this video. I want everybody to know exactly how you took him down.
And let me set this up because the first video, I actually, it didn't record. So then hours later, as he's leaving, I'm like,
you did it again.
This is the second video. So he had to take it twice. And when you're ready.
Take two. I fucking love it, dude. All right.
Genocide Democrat, genocide-loving Democrat right here, loves to starve kids.
Oh, dear God.
Genocide Democrat right here, 700,000 from AIPAC, but folks, he'd do it for free. He wants to starve these kids in Gaza. He wants these kids operated on without anesthetic. He wants
can't tell if this is a Ron Paul or PragerU guy.
The Israelis are shooting the kids in the head and chest, and this guy thinks that's fine. He's going to send them more weapons to do it. That's crazy. Genocide Democrat, $700,000 from AIPAC. But of course, it's not about the money. It's about the genocide. We got here Mr. Genocide Democrat. He thinks people who care about genocide are bad people. I think he's a bad guy. I think it's a bad thing to make money off of genocide. I think it's bad to define your career off of genocide. So we got here a Genocide Democrat. Congratulations, Brad Sherman. You're going to get a nice retirement plan. You're going to get it all.
So you get in there, you get out, and you're just like, okay. He's still doing pretty well for himself.
It's the kamikaze approach.
Yeah. But except I get to survive to fight another day. Like, what if the kamikazes, they didn't, commit suicide every time?
You hit the parachute at the last second. You got out of there.
Exactly.
And your honor's intact, my friend. Your honor's intact. No seppuku for you.
No.
One thing I noticed about this, and it's something that was deeply, deeply unsettling, it's the fact that he's just like smiling the whole time. And the way the shadow it's cast over his face, the lack of light in his beady Jewish eyes, it's all really unsettling. It's frankly demonic.
Well, I look at him. I don't think he looks, I don't, want to say any bad things about Jewish people generally, but no, he. Yeah,
you didn't even notice, right?
No, I didn't even you're telling me now for the first time. But, irregardless of that, I would do the same thing if it was that really hot congressman from, who goes on Fox News a lot from Texas. You know the one. So anyways.
I don't, no.
Well, we'll talk.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I get what you're
Nothing.
saying.
What matters is that, we are all journalists. We can all pull our phones out. And I think it's a very radical centrist thing to do, to go after the guy who's right in front of your face, And
now, Pilleater, I want to let you get some words in here. What do you think about this whole affair? Personally, I believe it to be very brave and stunning, and I just like seeing these nerds get harassed. Like, I'd like to shove his head in the toilet, take his underwear and put them above his head, shove him in a locker. You're not allowed to do that, but constitutionally, you're protected and allowed to call them genocide-loving freaks.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. I mean, I don't know the context of it. I just assume that if you say genocide, it kind of balances the act between, if you're on the right, you'll call him a Jew, and if you're on the left, you call him a white man. So somewhere in between, by saying genocide, you circumvent the left-right dichotomy sinkhole. And I guess there's the purpose in that. But then there becomes an ideal where, if the argument is truly thinking about what's really happening in the Middle East because they commit murder, I guess there's more ethics to it. I mean, maybe I'm overthinking this, but again, I don't know much of the context other than, here's some guy who wears a suit and a tie and he does war bonds and then tells you, if you eat at McDonald's, here's gay commercials for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you don't really need more context than that. It's just, this guy's a nerd. I'm going to eviscerate him publicly. I'm going to take a video
Look at
of
this
it.
guy's suit.
And everyone's going to let... This guy's gay and not in a cool way.
No. But just for his perspective, he goes to this Indian festival and then he has me show up. I just almost been very disorienting for both of us. For me and him, it was a shared experience. He and I are recorded in time together, so.
You had that shared bonding moment.
Exactly.
I see.
We'll always have the festival. But Pilleater, you bring up race, and I was thinking, if we want to transition into some of your race talk, but no, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be a backseat bottom host.
Well, I just comprehend it was you in the video, right?
Maybe, yeah, it was me, and and the question I have for you is the question I have, I've thought about my whole life, which is, if my mom is Filipino and my dad is Italian, what can you tell me? What can you tell me about myself?
You really liked the Nut Shack in high school.
The Nut Shack. What is this?
It's a Filipino cartoon. Do you know that one? The Nut Shack?
See, non-Filipinos, I have a lot of non-Filipino friends who I wish I could give them my Filipino-ness because they would use it a lot better than I've been using it. So
I would not take that gift, my friend. I would say, no, thank you. Return to sender.
Yeah.
Yeah, apologize. I didn't see that was you in the video. I just thought it was some kind of PragerU, Ron Paul, rubber rouser.
Yeah, I'm with both of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I get it. I understand. I voted Gary Johnson one full moon ago. One blue moon ago.
Well, I mean, do you
I've
know
never voted in my
Aleppo
life,
is?
and I'm proud.
You don't need to know what Aleppo is, honestly. Just stay out of it.
Yeah, well, it's Socratic if you ask. And what is Aleppo? Because I don't know what Aleppo is. And as long as you think about it. Yeah.
That Gary Johnson was high off his ass. They ask him that question. He's like, man, I don't know. What the fuck, bro? What really is Aleppo when you break it down?
Yeah.
He got trapped in a thought loop, and we're supposed to believe that he's evil for that he's not a learned, smart, rugged individual that deserves the highest office in the entire country. That seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah, in a way, he is like our Assad.
Interesting.
Well, I do, you did ask me about my racist takes, things like that. My controversial takes, really. And I guess I'll dive into this if I could have a floor for a minute. So, I know, Erik, and it really is based. It comes from the heart, and I support it 100%. I have a lot of compassion for you and your compassion for the Palestinians, but, even though I'm 110% on board with you harassing these faggot nerds, I do have to admit that, frankly, and this is going to be controversial, this is going to be unpopular, even with the Grillisha, I am very firmly on Israel's side.
No, yeah, of course.
And, once I grill pill you on this, you might at least see where it is that I'm coming from. Where do you land on this issue, Pilleater, my friend?
Israel? Well, I've never been to Israel.
Good answer.
That means you're not allowed to have an opinion on it. That's true. That is true.
Here's the thing. I'm not Jewish. Contrary to popular beep, everybody likes to call me a Jew.
You're Jew passing. I'm the same way.
Exactly. Jew passing.
Jew passing.
So everybody says that's Jew eater. So I'm not a Jew. Never been to Israel. Yeah, I never thought much of it other than that I wanted to go to Tel Aviv to see a Rene Magritte painting of the Castle of Pyrenees, which is one of the biggest paintings in the Tel Aviv Art Museum, which is his painting that represents Israel. It's like a castle floating above a water and wave. But you see, I like that painting for a French surrealism, not because it's for Israel, but I guess Jews will remain that way.
I just want to touch that wall, man. All those guys go over there and touch the wall and get crazy powers from it. There's got to be something to that fucking wall, and I want to figure it out once and for all.
Yeah, it's like the Blarney Stone,
I'll tell you this much. My bias is that I like Hasidic women who are no longer Hasidic. If that makes any sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
I like their boobs.
I mean, my one ex-girlfriend, who I really dear lovely, she was ex-Hasidic. So she came from a Hasidic family, left, but she always was white passing. And she said, I'm just, white. Why does it matter about my Judaism? It's just a religion. And that's like, well, that means a lot
Well,
And,
you bring up the white and Jewish dichotomy because I notice on the right, the thing that breaks down is, they all agree on everything except, one side of the right thinks it's the blacks and the other side of the right thinks it's the Jews. You have Jared Taylor and he's like, well, I think Jews are white, and it's like, okay, well, maybe the white ones are white, but then on the other hand, you've got people like saying, well, if an Ethiopian or an Ugandan is a Christian, they're closer to me than a white Jewish person. And, I think that's an understated part of the right wing frame, but maybe that's I think that's a very 2022 take. I think probably we've pushed past that at this point.
Yeah,
we have the popular consensus is fully pushed that past that.
I'll tell you this much. When I first was with this girl that I really liked, and she was ex-acidic, after dating her, for 2 years and having wild, crazy ass sex all the time with her, when I was in
nice,
and when
nice,
that's
so
hot. Here's the thing. It wasn't until I was in Flatbush, which is like largely Hasidic Jewish, New York area, I realized I was kind of culture shocked to see that all the women were 5'4", 4.5 feet, tall, brown hair, big cheeks, and I was like, oh my god, this is just a bunch of clones of my ex-girlfriend walking around. And that's when I started to realize, yeah, you can't really say it's Jew as a religion. It's a racial phenotype, and that kind of ex-Hasidic girl or Jewish girl, whatever you want to get crazy on it. It seems to me that this would only be better if they were just not crazy and Hasidic and they actually converted to Christianity just so they can pursue the white men that their own white women demonize them. Because Jewish women, or at least ex-Hasidic women, are like a cat. They seem to approach you when you've done good or done really interesting things. Unlike white women. Yeah, it's like a cat thinks you don't own the cat owns you. So if you're a guy and you're controversial, Jewish women approach you and they have high IQ and they ask you, wait, how are you saying these things? You're saying very things contradictory to liberalism. And then they double down like, well, I find that attractive because I never met a smart man like you. It's about IQ with Jewish people. The thing with white women
you have to have a very high IQ to smash them Khazar milkers, huh? Is that the take here?
I mean, when I was with her, she was talking about the most eccentric music taste, art tastes ever, and that just strengthened the relationship. It's just at the end of the day, it's a hard sell because then that means you having Jewish children and becoming a part of the tribe, and wherever you want to say that's an invincible migration or not, I was given that key before, but I just went the other way.
Wow. You were given the key to the kingdom and you cast it into the volcano. You said, no, I won't condemn my future children to this fate.
I mean, Trump has it. I mean, there's a lot of people, but you see the thing over and over again. It's successful white boy from Kentucky makes an interesting art piece. Jewish girl finds him. They have half Jewish children, and then it's an invincible. That's what Charles Murray says in the bell curve. That's a totally fine eugenics process. However, I don't think it should be this congregation of just. It's just like the same what's happening with Chinese picking up white guys, and that's the problem. It's that Jews are not accessible to Eastern ideals, and I think that's where the conflict really lies.
Wow.
So I gotta ask you, you just mentioned that thing about the Chinese picking up white guys and stuff like that. I know that you're a big fan of the, what do we call it, miscegenation. Do you extend that to white guys and Asian girls? Is it Asian girls, white guys? Like, what is your position on this?
I wouldn't call it miscegenation if everyone benefits, right? I would call it a eugenics program.
It's pro-segenation.
It's segenation.
Right. Well, miscegenation would imply dysgenics, meaning that you're half retarded or you're disabled. And so white nationalists make up bizarre claims like, yo, you got sickle cell anemia, or you have no organ transplants because the bloods are different. That's all true to a scientific way, but it's not exactly the main argument of... That's funny.
Are you okay, man? Holy shit. Dude, they're trying to kill you right now. That's fucking... That's big miscegenation coming in and putting the two in the back of your head.
Lost my trip. But I'm saying is that there's this. It seems like the argument lies is not supposedly. It's like there are racial compounds difference, but I think the argument really lies between power struggles, and the power struggle seems to be more about people losing their natural deep ecology levels of where they're from, quote unquote, and up against a battle of increasing technology and different cultures that that are contradicting past ideals of the world, which are going out of style. And so I'm kind of a firm individual that believes in like
I'm firm too, bro.
an anti-liberal revolution based upon primordial traditionalism and a return to a type of paganism where people go into space, but they're en route of being a human. Because if you're on an intergalactic Politburo table, and that alien is from Mars, and that alien is from Jupiter, you as a human being are not going to care whether this is fascist or communist. You're going to care if it's human. And if it's human, it doesn't mean, the ideology of sameness or egalitarian. You know that there's different types of humans and limits of it. And
let's get real. Some of the humans are going to work with the Jupiterians and the Martians. You know what I mean? They're going to some I won't say which ones, but some groups of humans are going to cut a deal.
Right. I mean, Octavia Butler wrote that in Xenogenesis, where it was just like the humans are just going to be raped by the aliens. And then
Octavia Spencer said, "Eat my shit."
Right. What was that?
That classic, whatever her name is, quote, "Eat my shit," right?
Yeah.
I will say, I have always thought that Asians, particularly the Chinese, are like aliens. Like they don't really like. I don't know like what kind of Asian you are, but you guys kind of do seem like
a Hanguk style.
Okay, what does that mean? Trans?
I can't say. Maybe that's the hint.
Oh God. Are you trans Korean?
No.
Are you just a giant weeb? Is that what this is all about?
No.
Okay, so here's one thing. Here's one thing that I noticed in your quote for your the blurb for your book. I was looking through your website. Let me find this quote here. Nally is a man of letters, a daydreamer who wants an anime realist to Eurasian futurist society. I had a hard time comprehending exactly what that meant, but now that I know that you're a transracialist, that you're a weeb, this all makes sense. I still don't know what the fuck it means, but only a weeb's hands could type those onto a keyboard.
I would contradict that and say I can't be a weeb because the Japanese are not the exclusive Asian group. You don't call someone into Filipino culture a weeb or Korean culture.
Well, no, because it's like they have different versions of weeb. Like if you're into British culture, you're like a Tebow,
So I'm saying it's not. It could be the malaise of being Asian and Asianness, but I wouldn't say Asianness is weeb culture. That's just a G7 concoction of saying Japanese are the ultimate Asians.
Well, first of all, Japanese are the ultimate Asians. Let's get that straight. That is an official position. So
and that's what G7 believes. Correct. But BRICS believes it's a mixed mash of Chinese, Korean, Southeast Asian, and the rest of the natural order. It's an invention that the Japanese are the good Asians because it's true. The women have big tits. They make whatever. They're subedient.
They do?
And, it's just like they look more.
They have big tits. Whoa.
Yeah, wait a second.
Breaking news alert. Japanese women have big tits?
They're more fatter, and that's probably of Western interest, probably from like the Ainu Russians.
Question, Pilleater, I mean, what do you think of the Japanese censorship policy on the pornography? Do you think that's something that we can overcome?
I think the Japanese have already been colonized, and allowing porn in their country in the first place was a part of Western colonization. Unlike Korea, where pornography is banned, and yet they're very promiscuous outside of the peninsula.
That is
I think the reason that they blur out chicks' vaginas in Japanese porn is because they're trying to hide the fact that it actually is sideways, slanty, like their eyes, and sideways.
Well, I can tell you Chinese, if you ever penetrated a Chinese, that's sideways or very small, so you got to be careful.
It's like those tunnels where those guys go in spelunking and they get stuck. It's like pulling the sword out of King Arthur's stone going into a Chinese woman.
Oh yeah, there is a race realism there, and you got to be careful. Guys think, they're small, but if you go in too fast, it could hurt her, and she might be in pain, and then she's bleeding. I've experienced this myself, so I'm not gonna.
I've never had that problem in my life, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
maybe you're just not built for it.
So
I don't know.
In terms of, that's interesting to me because I forgot we didn't mention it, but you were also the originator of the safe sleazy meme, I would say, right? And
yes, I would love to talk about this.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, like having a Filipino wife, that's sleazy. maybe it's safe,
Yeah,
maybe it's unsafe.
yes.
But what about? But your Asian Aryanism is all about how being Wasian is going to be the supreme. So there's kind of the sleazy Wasians and the supreme Wasians. I don't know.
Yeah, let's not kid ourselves and say that and I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to offend you here because you're a standout example of the half Filipino community, but let's not kid ourselves here and say these half Filipino kids are going to do great.
Yeah.
Well,
let's not lie to ourselves.
I think there's an interesting contradiction. I mean, again, context. I was an Asian studies major in Temple University many years back, so that was one of my favorite things. So I'll tell you this much. Isn't it interesting that when people talk about Asian as Malays are Southeast Asians, Vietnamese, Thai, Laos, and when they're not interesting in Western interests, they like to say I'm Asian, but that Asian, quote unquote, is like usually Chinese, Korean, and Japanese, Northeast Asian. So to say you're a Filipino and say I'm Asian, all of a sudden claims Nintendo, video games, hang tie, whatever. But Filipino culture did not make that. And so it's really interesting that there's a huge group of Southeast Asian. No, I'm saying that Southeast Asians love to use Asian as an excuse to give them Japanese status to appeal to white men.
Well,
and,
the Japanese, they deserve to have their status taken from them. Do you know what they did? Like,
right.
To my grandma?
Exactly. I mean, well, they ruled the Koreans.
I mean, how
for a
was
very
she
long
dressed?
time.
Yeah, so you went to Temple University. Which temple in Korea was that university?
No, it's an old term to describe a night school in Philadelphia. It's not a good school at all, but it had an Asian studies program there.
Philly. Is Philly the safe, sleazy... where's the center? Where's the epicenter? Who's patient zero of safe, sleazy?
Bushwick. It's in Bushwick, Brooklyn. It started in...
Okay, there's Flatbush and there's Bushwick.
Yeah, Flatbush is east, Bushwick's right in the center. That's where Safe Sleazy originated from. Yeah, Safe Sleazy's not from Philly. Sorry.
I do want to get into the origins of Safe Sleazy. I didn't understand or recognize that it was a concept that you'd actually come up with, but when you put it into words like that, Pilleater, it blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind because I've hated those dudes with a passion for years. I fucking hate these guys because I myself, this is going to shock the audience, this is going to shock you guys, I am a reformed sleazebag. I used to get out there, do sleazy shit. I'm a father now, a respected pillar of the community, but I'm a reformed sleazebag. So I find myself like an old man. I'm shaking my fist. I shake my fist at these guys. Sleazebags, they're supposed to use roofies on bitches and give counterfeit cash to prostitutes. They're not supposed to use feminist rhetoric to trick women into sex.
Exactly.
We're supposed to do cocaine in the Applebee's bathroom in between Dwayne the Rock Johnson Rockaritas. Mm-hmm. Those are real things. Mm-hmm. You go to Applebee's, order a Rockarita. They're great. You're supposed to do cocaine in the bathroom and sexually harass the waitress. You're not supposed to go to fucking hipster bars and order hard kombuchas. We're supposed to steal money out of the register at our shit kicker jobs that we've worked at for 2 weeks and that we're about to be fired from. It's coming any day. They're already sick of us. Only 2 weeks there. We're not supposed to use Daddy's trust fund to pay for our upscale high-rise apartment. We're supposed to live in squalor and shit like I did. This is stolen valor. These fucking safe sleazy dudes. Oh yeah, I have a mustache and I dress like a homeless person. So, that means I'm dangerous. You're not fucking dangerous. You're a pussy. I could take you behind the back and kick the shit out of you, faggot. Every day of my fucking life. I hate these people so goddamn much. I'm sorry. I had to get that out.
And yet
yet
they're Asian sexuals. They prefer the interest to be with Asian women. That's the interesting part. Why is that?
Yes, they do. Well, could you expand on that? Why is that?
Well,
why do these safe sleazy men go for sideways slit pussy?
You would think they would go with the West Philly white girl with the pixie cut hair, but the problem is that girl is a feminist and she hates men, and Safe Sleazy's okay with that. By getting a whitewashed non-white woman higher on the hierarchy, that would be Asian, sorry, not black women, you would get then someone who's compatible with liberal culture, and that would be an Asian. Unfortunately, they seem to be Asian sexuals sexuals and white sexuals in denial, and they just live in a process where it's dual income, no kids. She's out in this polycule shaking hands with other safe sleazies, and safe sleazy seems to be living his best life. And it seems odd that this happening, because is it live fast, die young, or is it just Asian sexuality and white sexuality in denial? And I think it's the latter.
So I have a question because, I think we're all human, and the way you know that is that you reproduce, and when you reproduce, you produce a fertile young that can also go on to reproduce. Not like a donkey and a mule or whatever, but like that's called the biological reproductive species concept in biology. So, do you argue on some level that different races are different species or different levels of humanity? Because if so, then what is humanity?
Yeah, I was about to say that, because if there was the alien Politburo and there's the human group, certainly you would want the best person to represent the humanity. But unfortunately, it's going to be a white guy or a Jew that chooses a lesbian black woman to represent the Martians and the Jupiters. And I think this is a bad, just like I'm saying, the gay, it's like that Stone Cost comics. Two guys are making out and they say burgers. Right. There seems that, and this is the end game of liberalism, it seems to be a value system of being free, which represents the values of liberalism, the values of capitalism, and ultimately the end goal of transhumanism. I don't like that because, as I said before, as someone who likes paganism and primordial traditionalism, I think that's rooted in the BRICS countries. And I think, if we were to go into the stars, we'd have to be a kind of organic like people that are naturally in tune to who we are, while allowing, humanity as this perfect ideal manifestation of virtue ethics and what is natural and not the transhumanist state that wants to kill us.
Okay, you brought up the BRICS countries, and that reminds me, because the R in BRICS stands for Russia. And there's another concept of Aryan Asiaticness, and that's the Eurasian Russians versus the Ukrainians and the Slavs and the Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan and all that. Do you think that they have a chance of ascending to the top positions in an Asian Aryanism future?
It's unfortunate that the word Eurasianism, quote unquote, has already been taken by Alexander Dugin to talk about a Eurasianist mission for the fourth political theory. But Eurasianism is the only placeholder word to describe someone who's half white and half Asian. So that's why the word Wasian as a joke term on TikTok has been invented, is because we're not even allowed to say Dugin's concept of it. And, I've been trying to, and if you say Hapaism, well, that refers to Hawaiians and some weird group of ricells on Reddit that hate white people.
Well, but
so there's hardly a term
is because I also thought Hapo just was all Asian and Pacific Islander, all of it. Because what is a Filipino? Is it an Asian, a Pacific Islander, a Malay? And you keep talking about the Malays, and I think, the Malays, I'm in a Malays.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not fair to call a Korean a Hapa or a half Korean.
Well, it's not. A lot of unfair things happen to Korea. I think partitioning it was unfair. I think they should get back together, but it's the U.S.'s fault that they don't.
It's the ultimate breakup story.
Yeah.
Well,
it's like a soap drama. What will they? Won't they?
Why doesn't the Asian country just marry the other Asian country instead? Why does it have to go try to hook up with a white country when that white country has all kinds of hoes, all over the world?
Yeah. What is your take on North Korea?
Yeah.
North Korea is basically a stronghold for high, beautiful Korean women that will be sent out when the levees break. In other words, if North Korea will extend its power in the future, it will use its women as poker chips to get its way. So what will happen in the future is that since all the South Korean women or Korean American women in general have superseded Japanese sexual interest as being the new promiscuous Asian woman, the North Korean women represent pure, natural, traditional women. So the white boy who's an incel in Kentucky will be having an arranged marriage with a North Korean woman. And once he has that, he's not going to say anything bad about Kim's regime, is he? So he's going to start saying all this good things about Korean people. And that's what's going to happen. If North Korea is to survive in the future, it's going to be using its women as poker chips. And it's already happening. They're giving their North Korean women to Russian men in the military. Meanwhile, South Korea seems to be at this tug of war stance where how can we be adaptive in liberal capitalism all while using a diaspora strategy. And that's true. All the Koreans have now control in the United States from the East Coast and the West Coast and has superseded Japanese interest. All the Japanese, like red squirrels, have moved back to Japan, and all Japan towns have been invaded by Koreans in America. And that seems to be not talked about. This is why K-pop started to rise in the late 2000s.
Now, K-pop, I don't really like K-pop.
It's not about whether you like it. It's the geopolitical interest of Koreans strengthening their power to overrule Japanese authority.
What do you think we could do to reduce the influence of K-pop? Because that's the question I've been thinking of. But
you'd have to give out more Japanese women to the. So you know what they did? They gave out 20,000 Haitians out in Dayton, Ohio. Now imagine if our government got 20,000.
No! Sorry, go ahead.
Imagine if our government got 20,000 Japanese women from Hokkaido and put them in Dayton. I think the quality of life would definitely go up, but they didn't, knowing well that that was a brute bioweapon force to destroy what was left of Rust Belt nothing. Because again, I'm a dialectic materialist. I believe there's nothing to be produced in the suburb of Columbus. There's nothing left. Everything has been outsourced to different countries. And so how do you make an economy out of nothing? Well, you just move a war-torn country, Haiti, and take the Haitian people and turn it into a primitive country out in the middle of Ohio because nothing's working there and decent white people. You got three choices: New York, LA, SF. You can't be in the middle of Dayton when this stuff is happening. But again, if this country really
you could always start doing meth. That seems to work for a lot of the guys.
Yeah, it's genocide. It's West Virginia. That's another way of killing the white lower classes. We're literally, the elite are social Darwinian. They are basically Malthusian. They don't want to grow wealth. Having children with non-white women is a type of wealth growing, and that's what they don't like. They want to kill off that because
they want to stop that.
Correct.
By any means necessary. That's
right.
Why every actor on Netflix is a mixed race fucking hodgepodge of whatever the fuck genetics.
That's an illusion.
Future person.
That's an illusion.
That's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
That's a red herring.
Yeah, we didn't realize how good we had it growing up with the pure white Culkin family, Rory and Macaulay and Kierkin. Just pure, like milk.
It's the last bastion of white identity, Macaulay Culkin, dude.
It's an illusion like black people in Target commercials. Every commercial you see from Walt is a black person in it because the truth
Michelle
is,
Obama shopped at Target and she's black.
Yeah, but it's showing that it's not a realistic what black culture is about. Black culture is kind of being used as useful idiots for a culture that doesn't exist. It's like,
bro, isn't it crazy that those commercials, they just have like a black family going and they're like, yep, I'm going to pay for all this. And then they do.
Well, I'll tell you this much.
They're always trying to subvert our expectations. It's like, to what end?
Here's the funny part. A hardcore black nationalist can tell you no black person is going to act white and buy a house in the suburbs. Because if you look on a map where all black America is, they're in every major city, but not near bodies of water or in the forest. That's
not near bodies of water.
That's so true.
Why? Because
it really is.
Because they have different density.
I mean, there's theories on it, but I think the theory is, it's not theory, the truth is that there's welfare states in the cities that pay for welfare. And the history is that most blacks were slaves under a feudalist government. And now their whole entire culture is being dependent upon slave owners, which now, as Kanye West put it, the new slave class is basically living
I love
in Cleveland.
that song, by the way.
Yeah, I'm just reiterating Kanye West's version of what's going on. So blacks, they live in Cleveland. Because,
preach, brother.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, this is a digression now on Black America, but it shows you why they're blacks in the city. Well, it's because they're all on welfare. And
I'll look at these fucking Netflix things to go back to that for a second. And they really do try and do this thing where it's like, yes, I'm a half black guy. My name's Bob. I work in IT and live in the suburbs. It's like, who does this represent? Like maybe 3 guys in the whole country?
The transhumanist program knows that black people are very hostile against the experiment because blacks want their own autonomy. They give them a bread and circus with the concept of Wakanda, but it's not going to happen. What's going to happen is that transhumanist technology is going to put a brain trip in their brains. So whenever a black person is thinking about robbing a store, acting violent, it's going to zoom off and make them act white. That's what's, and some black nationalists are actually talking about this in their papers. And this is why the most hardcore black nationalist is a reactionary. He doesn't want to be, to them, they think it means reparations or a type of equity. Give us free steps, or as everyone says, gives me that. Well, the gives me that is a trick. It's a Trojan. There's
nothing free in this world.
Correct. And what's going to happen? Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you know this, but a black guy invented peanut butter. So you should be more grateful.
And super soakers and
they did. They got
super soakers and
a black guy invented white people. Actually, I don't know if you heard about that.
But
that was a bad dude.
I would say for everyone talking about how great transhuman is, and they talk about Afrofuturism and whatever. Just remember that if you had advanced technology to increase your IQ, you would turn white, quote unquote, as a social construct. You would leave primitive ideals behind. And what is black?
Skin, would it change the color of your skin? Because I tend to think race has a lot to do with the genetics of skin color.
Right, and so I'm trying to tell you it isn't just skin color. What I'm telling you is that it's a supply and demand capitalist ideal of the world. There's not enough white boy summers to infiltrate a safe sleazy into anime, right? The Chet Hanks can't outnumber the safe sleazies because liking Chet Hank is a boutique niche interest,
but there's only one Chet Hayes. There's only one.
Yeah, but they're magnifying this as if every single white boy is interested in a hot and taut Venus with a big booty and whatever. That's a very subjective one. It's the ideal of manifesting and saying that women are attracted to violence. Okay, who are the most violent? Black men. Should all women be attracted to black men because they have big black dicks? No, this is an irrationality about female sexuality being attracted to violence when women should be attracted to virtue. And that's a problem. And so that's why all the rap, all the rock acts quote unquote black because it's violent. Well, isn't that racist? Yep, bingo. And that's a paradox in and of itself.
But I think the most violent continent is Europe.
Well, because they say imperialism.
Boom!
Well, here's the funny part.
True.
They talk about it as if the world was solipsis and everybody would be better off in their own neighborhood. Well, that would just be libertarian ideals of ethno-nationalism, which, okay, well, then this just justifies why race is real, or justifies why there's a solipsis ideal of property. And that just doesn't make sense because you can't have two things at once. And that's why we're in a managerial state. This is why you have whites and Jews at the top, and blacks say we need reparations because we hated you 200 years ago. And then
it's just wanting free stuff.
Correct.
I mean, come
Equity
on
state.
now. When it comes down to it, it's not like we're at the bottom for real. It's a trick.
But if
it's just like shit. I can get free stuff, man. Give me that.
It's nice when you get free stuff because you don't have to pay for it. It frees up your money to buy other things.
But most smart black people know that without whites or Jews, they're screwed because it'll just be like, a Rwanda genocide happening. Their entire existence.
Genocide. You bring up the Rwandan genocide, and I think that's very interesting. Tell me more about the Rwandan genocide.
I think it's the ideal or the premise of two rival tribes not liking each other.
That's so true. I agree.
But I mean,
I think we got a free Coney, man.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people talking. That was Rwanda, right?
It's all Rwanda.
I mean, he had that shit under control, bro. Like, if you want to think about it, without Coney, what do we got? It's anarchy.
But when you have a white general come in there and says it's our fault, and it's like, no, that's another country and another people. Mind their own business. So that's the funny part is no autonomy. It's like this a certain Tiktung Olam ideal of the world. It's Judeo-Christian control. And I just think that's a little irrational because then you're just supporting transhumanism.
I mean, it is kind of our fault, though.
I mean,
if you really think about it, really dig deep into your brain, and think about it, it is kind of our fault, though.
I just think, listen, we
didn't give them enough stuff, man.
The only thing you can do is take the most beautiful women and start families with them. That, to me, is some weird eugenics program being practiced right now by the Candace Owen types and the Kanye Wests. They know
Candace Owens is not the most beautiful woman of her.
I mean,
of her
subjective.
Let's be honest. Subjective, objective.
I'm just saying,
objection. I object to that idea.
I mean, there's pictures
that weird like fish-eyed bitch.
She looks like a European woman just with dark skin, correct? And
no.
I'm trying to tell you that where are those Chet Hanks that say, I want a Afro-looking woman with big lips and big cheeks? And
we ask ourselves, where are the Chet Hanks? And he's there. We have him. He's there. He's Tom Hanks' son, and he's ready, and he's available.
And so I'm sorry.
Why do we want more? Why can't we accept what we have? Why can't we accept we were born in the race we're in? The problem, and finally, the other problem is assuming that all men want that, and that's the funny part, is that you're lowering the standards of what is beauty. Because if there's a ideal of virtue ethics, that the ideal of beauty is being rational, having intelligence, loving good arts, not being a Philistine.
No, dude, it's big tits and a nice bitch. I'm sorry, brother,
which is manifested in that ideal. But the problem is, it has resulted.
That has nothing to do with intelligence. Yeah. If you want something intelligent, you got to be gay like Erik, bro. That's true. I'm sorry, but
it's not that I want people to be. It's not that gay people. I mean, we're already in a gay culture right now. The ideal of
not me, bro.
If you have promiscuous sex, you're in a gay culture. Gay culture has entered the heterosexual lifestyle. The ideal of hookup culture came from gay people in San Francisco, and then
I never played that shit in my whole life. Bitches after my dick. I said my seed valuable. Bitch.
At one time,
I'm not gay. I'm not gonna have sex with you dumb slut.
Creating condoms too at the turn of the 20th century was a way of controlling people not to have too many kids, and it was only the Catholics saying we hate condoms and just
that's the only good thing the Catholics have ever done is say condoms are bad. I agree full-heartedly. Condoms are the most cringe thing on the planet. Right. Like that, you're really gonna do that if you've only had sex with a condom. If you're using a condom, you're not having sex. You're fucking a plastic bag. Right. It's disgusting.
It's like fucking a man's ass. Having sex with him.
Exactly.
Even the word quote unquote, I mean Andrea Dorkin, quote unquote word fuck implies rape. And that's the funny part is that, I fucked this girl, I fucked this guy. Okay, then is rape consensual?
Now what do you think if sodomy comes from Sodom, what would Gomorrah be?
Well,
gonorrhea? Kind of close. I mean, I don't know.
I think we're in that stage right now. I think, the premise is this: if I was on Tinder and I meet a Puerto Rican girl and she's 18 and I just come inside
Swipe
her,
left.
See, I will have ejaculate inside her. I would be okay with the kid, but we have a culture that says no. Then you're gonna have to pay for child support. Men are evil. Why did you? There's this whole cultural values that enter. Why don't you want to pay
for child support? It's for the child. Don't you love the child?
Yeah, but the problem,
not if it's Puerto Rican.
Yeah, well, that's the funny part is that we never really had. We had a culture that never really had child support. The state would come and take over, but now it's like a punishment to have children with anyone, and they've demonized it as if your life is now over having a child. When that's what I'm saying. The only way you could actually, stop this gay infiltration of culture is having children and being natalist, because
that's why I had a kid. It had nothing to do with wanting to, further my genetic line, raise a generation of new grillers to take the reins and make the best podcast in the world. It had everything to do with proving to the world that I am not gay. I'm not.
Yeah.
It's just, but exactly. The ideal of the premise.
Do you believe me? You believe me, right?
Yeah, you have a kid and then you're being a dad, so it's all good. Yeah. It's just.
Can you say I'm not gay?
You're not.
Can you say Orion's not gay?
Orion's not gay.
Yes,
I guess.
Okay, keep going.
But I'm telling you,
whoa!
Whoa!
Hold on.
I don't know what I don't know your history, but
anymore.
But the premise of the argument is just basically people are just using each other to have novelties fuck stories. Oh, I had sex with this bit, I had sex with, and then like Rouge V, you now have a body count of plus 20, and I guess that's an Andrew Tate accomplishment story when really the world is based upon an RK strategy, as E.O. Wilson has put it out.
Have you seen, because you brought up incel culture, and have you seen this guy who stabbed those college students and he just got sentenced, in Idaho?
Okay, that's the Jewish guy, right?
I don't know if he's Jewish. His last name is Kohlberger, and it's like could be just German. Okay. But like,
oh my god, will you stop it with this Jew stuff, man? Holy shit, bro!
If you read E. Michael Jones or Kevin McDonald or Charles Murray and know your evolutionary, evolutionary psychology, and I understand that the premise of Christian thought is an extension of Judaism, you start to realize if this is a Jewish-based nation,
that's the biggest psyop in the world.
They have to understand that it's like capitalism. Capitalism came from liberalism, which liberalism begat individualism, which begat trust. Okay, and Judaism it begat Christianity. So it's the operating system of where we go. And it's not just people; it's also a religious ideal of the world, and that's why I'm a proponent of virtue ethics.
Yeah, because since I'm Jew passing, that even includes my penis. And do you think that is a barbaric ritual?
I mean, I
judge people who are not circumcised so bad. Yeah. It's like, what? You don't go for a yearly trim up, bro? You don't get that thing cleaned up? Like, really? You're just going to let all that fucking skin hang out there? Look at this. It's unsightly. It's unsightly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the circumcision thing is a really interesting ideal because we've been uncircumcised.
I'm a circumchad.
I mean, we're all circumcised, but, uncircumcision.
Hell yeah, brother.
Being circumcised is a recent invention, if you think about it. Just like the poliovax, the polio vax, almost 70 years ago when everyone was during the Great Depression and the sewer system. So I think it's something about technology, really. And maybe it's just about the mismatch of zeitgeist and ideals, because I can't say anything. My dick is circumcised or whatever. Do people have, uncircumcised dicks? Most of the world, yeah, they do. And that's natural order.
Fucking animals do.
Right.
People don't.
No, girls don't.
I think. Right. And so I don't try to hyper fixate on that, but there's a lot of people who do fixate and say, yeah, this is why we're in a Jewish culture, because they circumcise. And yeah, it's true.
Fixation, right? I mean, you just fix on something and you just fixate, and it just keeps fixing and fixating. And
right. There's nothing I can't do with that. It's like me liking, I do believe I'm not a religious person, but I like ideals of Christian philosophy, like divine foreknowledge and not knowing what's going to happen in the future. I like the ideal of God's will, but not that there is a God. So it's like, it is God's will that I'm an Asian sexual. It's God's will that I'm making art.
I'm similar because, it's not that I believe in something spiritual, but I do believe that if you lie, eventually it all comes out, And it's worse than if you just told the truth,
Right. Sincerity versus irony.
And
right?
also,
it's better to be sincere. Yeah.
I was watching, this documentary.
I'm very sincere.
Yes. This guy's who milks snakes for a living, and milking them, by making them bite down, and then they get the venom, and he makes anti-venom. And he said, every day I wake up in the morning and I look up in the mirror and I reflect on my death, because that's the Bushido way, and then I say, all right, I'm going to dedicate my life now to saving people from being bit by poisonous snakes. And
gay,
and I guess
I'm sorry that's gay though. Just thinking about, I'm gonna die someday, dude. I'm gonna die. Shut up, dude. And what, you're milking snakes? What does snake milk even taste like?
Why don't you milk me? It sucks. I got nipples.
I wonder
if snake milk's good though. Yeah. I wonder if it's good. Is it raw meat? Fucking snake milk diet makes you a real alpha male.
Yeah, you look like a Tate brother, like Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
Looking like the Liver King. I do got to ask you, because I think we're about wrapping up here. This has been a very interesting conversation.
We haven't begun.
No.
We haven't begun. We can keep going. We can keep going.
I was talking about, there's Safe Sleazy, there's music, there's books. I never
let's
did
get
the
back
voice.
to Safe Sleazy.
I never did the voice.
I want to hear you tell your story of somebody in your life who's Safe Sleazy, and you said to yourself, wow, he really is the archetype. Who? Is it you?
I mean, a lot of it is me in there. I lived the lifestyle for a very long time. I lived in Bushwick for 5 years.
Wow.
So, But also at the same time, I knew others
Jesus, man.
who were like that. And honestly, I didn't make up the term safe sleazy. It was me watching Shredded Nerds video about this Australian guy, and then my girlfriend, who basically said, "Oh, that I like guys who are safe sleazy," and that was that. And I just used the term for a silly indoor joke, and it took off. And then, like I said, I literally milked it, and people bought my books and they bought my music. And then Red Scare got upset at me, and I'm like, "Well, I've been on YTMND since 2009. What the hell are you talking about? I'm not hiding anything."
Wait, you said Red Scare got upset
What did those
at
two
you?
fat broads say about you?
Yeah, they are fat whores.
There's a lot of weirdos that say stuff, and it doesn't bother me because I've been here since 2009, 2008 doing this on YTMND.com, and then people are just discovering me as if I'm hiding something. There's absurd videos.
Is this a subreddit that's coming after you, or is it the two fat whores?
No. Is it Kiwi Farms?
It's a mix. I mean, it turns out I have more fans than I do people. It's always liberals that hate me. That's the funny part.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. I'm sorry. I got to go
hypocrisy.
off on a little tangent here. About the Red Scare Pod subreddit.
Yeah, they're
It's
retarded.
going after you, my new best friend in the world.
Wow.
Okay, they're going after you. These people are the biggest faggots on the internet. The Red Scare Pod subreddit, they're like, "Oh, dude, we're like totally leftists and don't like liberals." No, they're just liberals who hate their dad.
Correct.
Is what it comes down to. Oh, I'm totally a leftist, even though I agree with liberals on everything when you really get down to it. And they think that they're fucking better than other Redditors somehow. They'll go on fucking Reddit and be like, "Oh, dude, you're a Redditor. Nigga, you're posting on Reddit.com, a Reddit.com subreddit. Do you not understand what you really are? You cut a Red Scare user and a Redditor bleeds." That's what I'm trying to say.
I mean,
these pretentious up their ass faggots, and then you come out with the safe sleazy deal. And it calls them out. It calls out exactly what they are.
They mass reported me, and I lost 38,000 followers.
God.
They've been doing slander. I made a second account, had 3,000. They mass reported me again, and the reasons. The first reason was you're hurting people's feelings, and the second one was infringement, or not infringement. It was impersonation. And now I have a third account at Nalikun, my last name, but I am shadow banned. And if I like someone, they have to, and if you follow me back, they warn you that this guy's scary. And so when they talk about how, quote unquote, you fell off, I didn't fell off. The state sniped me out. The state hates me.
Wow. You got hit, bro. You got hit.
Exactly.
And look, that's the thing. I'm not against harassment, bullying,
Never.
doxing, any of that sort of thing. I don't personally dox. That's a line I don't cross because I think that bad things happen to you when you start doing that. But at the same time, it's about who's doing it. And these sound like the worst, most retarded people on the planet that are coming after you simply for the crime of being 100% correct on literally everything you've ever said.
They hate that.
I mean, I've always been an avant-garde artist, but I've been seeing slander videos where they think I'm hiding because I'm a pedophile. And I've written.
You're not a pedophile.
Tell us
right?
more about your pedophilia.
Exactly. Oh yes. Did you know Joe Nally's a pedophile? Wow, he's been keeping it a secret. It's hilarious because I've always been writing, like transgressive topics, and people will just take one thing from my written work, spin it around, and say, "Oh, obviously he's a Nazi. Obviously he's a pedophile. He's a pedophile Nazi."
What exactly did you say that brought this up? I gotta know what is the ammo that they use with which to shoot you?
Because I had an internet series of articles titled "Vintage Internet Hate Trauma," and I did it on NAMBLA, this weird old website of National Boy Love, and talked about the history of it. And I talked about why they do this, and I said, well, they're trauma bonding, and although they're not doing child abuse, which people think they're what they're actually doing is they're having fixations. So you gotta understand something.
It kind of seems like child abuse, brother.
Like, well,
I think fucking a kid is child abuse in every.
Well, here's the funny part. It was gay. It was gay people that started pedophilia, and you could say that homosexuality is one step before pedophilia. That's the funny part.
You could say
and they don't want to
that.
bring that up. That's right. Same-sex interest means that you're sexually attracted to childhood traumas, and any gay person is going to shut you down for saying that and call you a pedophile. And yet, Dennis Cooper, Randy Schultz, Edmund White, all gay writers have written this before in their writing. And it's funny that when you tell the boy who now thinks it's a woman, who now thinks it's trans, this, they're the ones gaslighting you and saying, oh, you're the crazy one. That's how much our American society has fallen apart. The white lower middle classes are now killing themselves and thinking they're women. It's only nerdy white boys that are trans. It's never someone who's rich that's
precious
trans.
nerdy white boys.
They're the ones becoming trans, not the rich white people.
So what I'm not understanding, I'm sorry, I just got to get down to the bottom of this. You said NAMBLA isn't inherently abusive.
It's a gay
don't
trauma
understand
bonding.
that.
Well, obviously,
Yeah,
they
but
probably
the
are
trauma
committing-
is the abuse.
Right. That's correct. But the thing is, I'm pretty sure there's some petty criminals in it as well. But here's the point:
I think they're all criminals. If you're trying to fuck a kid, you're a criminal.
Right?
And you should
and
be
why
lined up
is,
against a wall and killed.
and why
look at
is
me,
liberalism pushing it?
My wife gives birth to one baby, and all of a sudden, I'm against fucking kids. Wow,
Exactly. And the thing is, liberalism is pushing this as minor attracted person. So if you can use that petty language of minor attracted person, you might as well say Asian sexual. I've had accusations that tell me Asian sexuality is pedophilia. Have you heard that one? That's what Sam Hyde says. They said if you like Asian girls, you must like kids. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, Asian kids.
Yeah, I don't know exactly 100% if that's true, but there is a Venn diagram of which there's a pretty decent overlap.
It's a conflation of abuse and beauty, right? There are beautiful things of what is virtue. We know big tits and a nice ass is beautiful, but we also know that doing good and having youthful characteristics of what is young, but not exactly a child is beautiful. And there's a conflation there of an actual child.
There's a difference between beauty and, wanting to fuck something.
Why would you say an entire race of people is pedophilia?
White guys that want to fuck Asian
Are
chicks?
some now pedophiles? That's what Sam Hyde says.
I mean, the French.
Well, I kind of agree with that. I kind of agree with that because, the French, they're all pedophiles.
So,
that's 100%.
I'll tell you this much. Tim Rogers, who's an admitted Asian sexual, says Asian sexuality is queer culture, and that makes them the same status as a gay person. Isn't that a slap in the face to anyone that has a hot Japanese wife? I think that is.
No, it's really not, because I actually really agree with that, because, look, it really does seem weird to me that all the white guys who fetishize Asian women and take third world Asian wives, they seem to strike it out with American women 100% of the time. And it kind of seems to me like the whole, oh no, dude, American women, they're all whores.
I mean,
they're body count, they won't fuck me, but they're all whores. That's why I have an Asian wife. I don't know, bro. I think he just couldn't make it.
Here, it's the snake eating its own tail, because we get back to the creation of Safe Sleazy, the creation of homosexuality entering heterosexual lifestyles. If homosexuality is a bunch of men having recreational gay sex with another, they're now using the Asian women as an alibi. Listen, Tim Rogers said, I like Asian women, they look like men.
Yes, you understand that.
What? They said, Tim Rogers said Asian women look like men. Isn't that a slap in the face to actually what women are? I only fuck Asian women because they look like men? Then you might as well be gay. To have a vagina to have kids with.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I'm gay, but I do wish there was a hole that didn't have poop.
I mean, I just think this rhetoric is getting out of hand.
I think that's called the mouth, buddy.
Oh yeah, but
oh wait, not a gay dude's mouth. That thing has been doing some searching.
It's just going to justify back to how homosexuality has entered the heterosexual lifestyle and how they have basically devalued Asian sexuality as a legitimate identity politic, and rather the end game is minor attracted person or a zoophile, where your sexuality is
it would go past
paraphilia.
That. It wouldn't.
I'm telling you this.
There'd be more.
Asian sexuality can't be a paraphilia because it has children. Homosexuality, pedophilia, and zoophilia cannot have children. They are sexually interested in trauma bonding pursuits. And that's the problem, is that Asian sexuality is a natural order of virtue and a pagan return to something.
Have you ever had a gay experience?
No.
Hell yeah, brother, me either.
No, but
You've had a lot of Asian experiences.
yeah, and that's why I get accused. Oh, you must be a fag. I had my own dad say you must be a faggot for liking Asian women.
Oh, that's where this is coming.
I'm so sorry you
but-
said that.
That's rough, dude. That's
Rough it is, but it's just like, hey, there's so much of that going on, and it's like, listen. Again, there's conflation. I know deep down inside a man's asshole isn't sexually attractive. Okay, that's a boner. It isn't like this femboy anime
deep
thing.
down inside. Oh,
It's
okay,
like,
but what do you think? What do you think about the Thailand traps though? What's your deal with that?
that's what I was about to say. It's like, well, a man could look like a woman, and our natural biological senses be like, oh, you're pretty. Yeah, I wouldn't mind you sucking your dick, even though you have an Adam's apple and a hardline jaw. And the grip might be harder, but it's like the problem is at the end of the day, you'll know it's a guy, and it's such a boner killer to know that you're just masturbating with yourself, because that's what gay sex is.
I feel like you could just smell it,
sodomy. Yeah, it's sodomy.
Yeah.
By definition, it's sodomy.
well, it's
And so
Adam and
sodomy-
Eve, not Adam and Thai Ladyboy.
See, I mean, but
Not Adam and Pink Chow.
the point is,
whatever the
it
fuck.
shows you why gay people are so bipolar and so dysfunctional. Is that even after they have gay sex, they don't they start to use and abuse each other and trip on this ideal of just only them exist in this solipsist society, which I think is a symptom of liberalism. And honestly, you can't have a kid with another man, and you don't know the beauty of having children and actually starting wealth. Because again, if you're just having gay sex, that's just something like getting drunk or.
So you've never had sex with a woman, and then afterwards you're like, oh Jesus, I feel empty inside. What the fuck am I doing?
Like, here's what they're doing. They think men who have promiscuous sex with women is somehow the same as gay sex, and it's just not true. And women are not meant to be promiscuous. As women don't have testosterone. Men have testosterone. Men have the higher sexual drives, and so the premise is the gay guy feels good because he gets a lot of sex. And it's like, no, there's nothing to feel good about penetration. This seems to be a type of suicide or something. And women, it turns out that whenever they're penetrated, they get more dysfunctional, and they have more leaning towards not having children, and then they start hating men. The most hardcore Asian lesbian is not a lesbian because she was born Chinese or Confucius. It's because she was spoiled with men.
I have never seen an Asian lesbian in my life.
Exactly.
Now that you mention it, I'm kind of thinking right now. I mean, I don't believe lesbianism is real in the first place.
Isn't real.
I think it's
but
I've never even seen an Asian woman attempt it or pretend to be.
Exactly. She's lying because every Asian lesbian girl, I've experienced this myself. They will bow down to the most white guy who breaks their spell by being safe, sleazy, and saying, "Hey, honey, I understand that. Oh, by the way, let's go watch Netflix and this art film, and we'll have peppermint tea." Before you know it, she's sucking your dick and you're doing 69. But by the way, she still hates men. By the way, she's just confused. It's just an alibi for her to be promiscuous, and her lesbianism is only a reaction because she hates men who never committed to her, even though she was told by feminism that she could have anyone she want. And that's the whole abuse cycle that's happening. Every Asian girl I know who said there's lesbian is lying out their mouth. They've had 20 plus white dicks before, and they just feel shame about it, and they're afraid to commit because they just hate men.
Now, do you think
What do you think about
Sorry, go ahead.
Asian guys ricing a white woman? What do you think about that?
An Asian guy with a white woman?
Yeah, getting yellow.
I always think I see it and I'm like, good on you, man. Like, good job. The small dick jokes, the nerd stereotype, you rose above it all, and you you reached the heavens.
I wouldn't put it by standard, because to assume that an Asian man gets a white woman because he now has a high standard is also devaluing the beauty of an Asian woman, or saying that we're better off as white men with the very white women we left in the fucking first place. So for an Asian man to go to a blue-haired white woman feminist that thinks there's no such thing as race and everyone's the same seems a little loony to me, because the real woman that he's after is some country bumpkin woman who voted for Trump.
So do you think that's why Kamala Harris lost?
I think Kamala Harris lost is simply because she was out of touch with reality. I mean, Tim Walz played Crazy Taxi, and Crazy Taxi was was it Crazy Taxi? Yeah, it's Crazy Taxi was like 20 years ago.
Is she Asian enough for you? Would you smash Kamala Harris? Yes or no?
I think she had sex with many people in power, and that's how she got there. And
It's a yes or no question. Would you have sex with Kamala Harris?
if she offered me, yeah, sure.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
I gotta ask you, what is it about Asian women that's so attractive to you? What is it about Asian women that draws you in, that, you know, your heart is so set towards them? You've written entire books about your love for them, how they're going to power the future, how we're going to go intergalactic and people the stars with a Netflix cast of biracial future people that have no ethnic real identity. I gotta ask, what is it about the Asian woman that gets your penis tingling so hard? And do you think that maybe all these ideals that you've lifted up and have all these things that have come to you like a Jimmy Neutron brain blast, do you think it might have something to do with it just makes your dick hard?
First of all, to your first question, why I love Asian women? Well, because virtue, tradition, culture, identity, family, art. There's an intellectualism and everything which is good in life, and the ideal of a common world which was taken away from us by a liberal transhumanist elite hell-bent trying to destroy the society. It's not that it's an escape plan, but it's the natural order of the world, which we know is correct and true in its virtue. We also know that it is a good society to leave in a world of fucking capitalist abuse. Now, as for desire, I think that's the highest priority, is that we desire things. Desire is not egalitarian, and we can't say we belong to one desire. There is an ideal of desire that envisions our aesthetic in person, and we should be defensive about the aesthetic that we want, but also lead people to what is good. And honestly, the drive is to create wealth, and wealth, you create art, you create cities, you create a people, and you create a community of other men looking out for one another and making sure women follow their duties as much as men follow their duties. And the point of being is to create a better society for everyone that has, which is good in life. So we know what virtue is. It isn't this like boomer mindset that we should just be, middle class and petite bourgeois and watch what's on fucking TV all the time. No, it's to make sure that we have a better society where, people can actually have intellectual talks about electronic music on the subway and have the Trader Joe's and the art galleries without being in denial. Because there's so much denial living in Bushwick where you can't even be yourself without somebody, canceling you or whatever. That is the reason why liberalism doesn't work. And we should know what is good and bad in society. And this is what makes people grow. And I think anybody who's trying to not tell you the truth is actually the enemy, and that's why inherently I'm an anti-liberal.
I see what you mean.
I gotta ask you, have you ever lived with an Asian woman, like had a serious relationship with actually Asian, not American Asian, Tiger Mom deal?
Of course. I have.
You have. So I gotta ask you, because when I hear what you're talking about, I hear all these high ideals about they're subservient and they're traditional and they uphold all this stuff. But then I imagine you're sitting there, you get home from work, you worked an 8-hour day. She's like, why you no work 12 hour? Why you no do this? You do that. Lawn look bad. You go do lawn now. And it's like, how do you deal with that, man?
They lay bare your inadequacies.
Well, remember.
Can you hit them? Did they let you hit them?
Race is one thing, but they're still women. They're still women at the end of the day, and they know they're just women. And that's the thing. How do you know the difference of people, and then men and women are different? Women will always complain at men when men have power. We live in a gynocratic society where women are in control, and that's bad, because if you look at the world rather of supply and demand.
Not over me, bro.
And so that's what I'm saying. If men have patriarchy back, then we'll choose what is right. We're not going to choose anything bad, because when a matriarchal society is not good for anyone, because what happens is the supply cuts off the demand and nothing grows. If you put 5 women on a deserted island and 5 guys on a deserted island, the guys on the island build a society. They have a homo nationalist, men are born society.
Yeah, they will become gay. I'm pretty sure. Not me if I was there. I'd be the guy being like, you guys are gay.
Yeah.
But they already invented a virtue system with an economy, a currency, whatever. But you add the 4 other women on the island, they can't build anything. They cry. They kill each other. This is like a Picnic on Hanging Rock by Joan Lindsay, same Australian novel that talks about this.
Yeah, the
this
dingo
is the
ate the
reason
baby.
why. Right. This is why women can't, they dream of Amazonian societies. They dream of the society of cutting up men, and they can't have it because they are biologically different. And the cop out is they need transhumanism, so they act like men. Well, if everybody acted like men, we all be faggots. So that's the
Not
problem.
me, dude. Not me. Whoa, 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 whoa. I was on board with you there because you're all like, yeah, women are dumb and they can't build stuff. I'm like, hell yeah, brother, let's go. And then you're like, well, if you were around a bunch of dudes only, you'd be gay. And I'm like, hell no,
Well,
brother.
that's why, because
Hell no.
we need women. That's why there's men and women are
But
different.
how
Men
can
have
you know
a
The
the
fact
women-
that you just said that kind of makes me think like that whole thing about Asian paraphilia being like next to homosexuality.
right.
It's kind of sounding a little more credible, my friend. I'm sorry. I'm
No,
sorry.
it can't be a paraphilia because you're having children and you're building wealth. But paraphilia, you don't produce wealth.
That
I
could be
mean,
a
you
fetish.
define it like that. You can define it like that, but I mean,
And here's the
what's
thing.
a breeding fetish?
Exactly.
And here's the funny part: a fetish is something that must be fixated and irrational. All desires are rational, so you can't call something a desire not rational. If a desire wasn't
Yeah,
rational,
you can.
a desire,
You can absolutely call
Oh.
a desire irrational.
Yeah.
Then it would-
like
then-
what?
What?
Like what? Name one desire.
I don't know. I want to do a bunch of cocaine right now, but that's not very rational.
It's rational in the effect of course, because there's a choice. Your desire to do something is rational, but the action, I mean, it goes back
Well, what
to
about the
divine
people
foreknowledge.
who get married to the Eiffel Tower? They're like, I'm
it's
in
like
a deep, torrid relationship with the tower.
Or with AI,
Hmm.
or pedophiles. Like that's not.
God can't
It's just a sickness. It's an illness, and it should be fucking.
And why is NAMBLA only in North America? What about South America? What about Europe?
Well, you got Sambla.
They have different branches.
Again,
They don't need an Asian one because they can just fuck the women there.
I mean, I was just well,
You know what's
got
good
me
about
thinking
women
that.
is that they look a lot like boys.
Well, here's the thing. In divine foreknowledge, God may see your future, but he can't predict what you're going to do. Even if you don't believe in God, all desires are rational and God wants you to have them, but he never said you're going to fuck kids, right? That's abuse. But he gave you the power to do so.
But what if
That's
there was
the
this
thing.
bush that was burning, like on fire, and it was like, my child, you must fuck the kids,
I mean, that's not...
Disavow.
No?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
not. That would be
sorry.
like a voice of Satan. That would be like a say. I mean, that's kind of its own. I wouldn't justify that. I'm just saying that an Alvin Plantinga theory of divine foreknowledge. This is why desire is rational, because it's God's will, and even if you don't believe in God, so it might be a will that this is good, but out of ethics that this is bad. Hence, it's virtue. So you have to. It's not that it's wrapping around it. It's more like, okay, so going back, all desires are rational. If you believe a desire is irrational, you must be some kind of prude, right? And prude is based upon Jewish Christian ideals of the world, which is kind of strange, is because then we go back to this premise that we are only limited because we hate ourselves for being animals. And honestly, as someone who subscribes to Rene Girard and the ideal of mimic desire, he also believes all desires are rational. And so, honestly, this justifies sexual interest too. So my desire is rational and can't be a fetish.
But isn't
Well,
desire...
there's rationalization, and then there's making what's the word I'm looking for? Basically making excuses to justify something, right? So it's like, there's this rationalization that I invented, but that doesn't mean the rationalization is firmly rooted in logic or even valuable in any sort of capacity.
Right.
People work
there's
backwards.
intuition. Well, there's intuition. You gotta, you have to have a coherent, a warranted belief. I mean, this goes back to Richard Rorty and Alvin Plantinga. The ideal, the premise is that, his classic argument was God in other minds. How can you believe in God if God isn't real? Well, I only can believe in God because other people believe in it. See, it's a and that's the funny part.
I believe in God because he talks to me and tells me to follow women and stalk them in the streets.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is Plantinga's belief can justify anything if you believe that. If your only justification is, I only believe in God because other people believe it, that's suffice information that is warranted enough for you to believe in God. And so with that kind of Planeka belief set, you could say Asian girls in other minds. I don't have to justify liking Asian girl because it's my intuition that other people also like Asian girls, and therefore I'm justified.
Well, other people like pickles, for example. I think pickles are disgusting, and other people don't like pickles. Other people don't like Asian girls. You have to justify every belief that you have ever.
Of course.
Especially if I ask it. If I ask it, look, I'm a very important guy. I host a podcast. I'm a podcaster, okay? That means that my words carry weight.
Yeah.
So if I ask the question, what is it about Asian women? You have to justify it not just for me, but for the entire world.
The argument is analytical. The way you use your words and choose it, you might want to get to the root of why, but it's always rooted in the argument of some weird precursor to before it began. How do I know a liberal is not using their words and saying, why do you like B people? Is it because you're Y? Well, that's a biased argument. It's bad faith. And that's what all liberals do to each other. They say things like, quote unquote, mind virus, as if that's an irrational way to thinking, like you're in the sixth, or racism or something like that. The argument has never been settled. And this is why ultimately I hate liberalism, is because liberalism basically is a delusional belief among Western people into thinking that our values of being pathologically altruistic and open-minded is somehow we're going to just play a fair game. And if we give everyone a fair shake, everybody's going to come to collusion. No, if I was a black man, I would kill everybody to get what I want. Real Machiavellianism.
But then you'd go to jail.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just like the only thing I came close in philosophy was Max Stirner's egoism. I think the egotist, anarchist egoist philosophy is a really gold way of looking at the world. Although it's somewhat a precursor to libertarian thought, I would not subscribe to the liberalism that is affected because, again, I believe in virtue. And I think virtue is one of the main tenets of good religion. And honestly, I think, again, to reiterate, we're really in a time where analytical philosophy and logic is how we form our words together. And as long as it's suffice and the right words are chosen, it's not we could justify anything in this weird postmodern sense of the term where anything goes. No, there's certain limits. The problem is making sure to untangle and untie the bad arguments that people try to put you in a box and realize, hey, I'm just a white man that loves Asian women and I want Asian men to like white women. And I want them to have a Eurasian society based upon that. And I think it's okay to have that identity politic because we are under a government of liberalism that denies us and thinks we belong with fat black women.
That makes 100% sense.
I stand
I'm
corrected.
gonna be honest. I'm getting a little tired here. I have some things I need to do. You're working out my brain really hard.
I have to rethink all the
lofty
decisions
ideals
in my life in light of this new information.
It is new information. You're well reasoned for mostly everything you've said, and I would say that you're a very intellectual guy. You're somebody that you've thought it all through, and it stands so starkly in contrast with the way I think things through, which is I look at something, I make an immediate value judgment on whether it's fucking gay and cringe.
Don't get me wrong. I hate a lot of white male Asian females in a position of power that deny my intuition, because it turns out, just like Safe Sleazy, the real enemy we're up against are dinks. Dual income, no kid. White guys with their Asian sex slaves living in Bushwick, not having kids, denying their Asian sexuality, denying their white sexuality, and voting for fucking Joe Biden while they say, oh, but don't scare the black people, and they install little security cameras in their Bushwick place because they know race is real and they want to continue this project until they all die or they're just kicked out of New York.
What happened to you in Bushwick?
Just normal Safe Sleazy things. I mean, maybe girl issues, but
So if you had
I feel like you're hiding something from us.
no, it's just normal guy. It's in my books, but
So let's say your future wife, if you could talk to her, what would you say to her? Let's say she's just being born now in Thailand, but if she could come back in time and you sell her something, what would you say?
I would say, let's make an art project together. Let's start a band. Let's do our own thing and look out for one another and start a family and basically have our own publishing house and our own little Epicurean group of people that teach other. It might be New Age philosophy, it might not.
And
but
where
the
would
point
this
is
be?
San Francisco, Bushwick.
What do Asian chicks do when you explain your philosophy to them? This whole thing. What do they think about that? Are a lot of them on board? Do some of them just say, "Oh yeah, very good," because they don't
They'll
understand?
Depending on the race, but one of my favorite reactions was, "I want your big dick inside me."
Yeah, how big is it?
I'm average. I'm average.
But average is good.
Yeah, I know. I don't glout about it. I mean, I don't know.
Well, they say Indians have the smallest, not actually Asians. But I guess that's part of Asia.
You would say that, wouldn't you? You half flip bastard.
Well, the other half is sausage. Let me tell you.
I hear you. Well, let me ask you one final question before we go, and this is probably the most pressing question of the interview. It might take another hour. I have noticed on your website that you said that you're straight edge. How is it that you stop for yourself from shaking in the morning without alcohol? I've been trying to figure this out for a long time.
Hey man, I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't glamorize it, and the reason why is because I have PTSD around those substances. Pretty much. That's why.
I do too, and that's why I drink. It makes me go.
No, I'm the opposite.
But I gotta ask,
it doesn't make me happy.
Yeah,
that's.
But how do you stop yourself from shaking in the morning?
Well, there's addiction. You just but I know people react in a psychosis manner, and I love studying psychoanalysis. But
how much blood in your stool is too much?
Listen, I don't drink because every time I drink, it's not in a social manner. It just causes me a headache and makes me feel like, and same with, I don't like drugs either.
You don't like soju, you don't like sake.
I do like soju.
Oh, there we go.
I do
Another
like soju
Asian
a lot.
exception.
But I don't excessively drink it in this weird, or drugs. I think drugs are fucking terrible. And I don't know why. It's I just think of rape, and that ideal of rape is what makes me so anxious. That makes me create art instead, and tells other people, listen, who took this away from you? You know what
I think is a form of rape is when people are very smelly in public. They make you smell them.
Yeah, assaulting your senses, really.
I don't know, but I just feel like our society is so rape obsessed, and just like I said, as the word fuck, it seems like we're in a society that nonchalantly excuses the exploitation of other people to get their way, when really it's making society worse, and everybody's now justifying it, say, oh, it's your first time, or just do this. Well, when can you be evil when you cannot? Well, you might as well. It's like the word wholesome, right? People say, oh, that's wholesome, as if our whole society is not wholesome.
Yeah, as if that isn't a fetish too,
Well, I mean, the fixation. Well, the one thing is that you can choose to be wholesome, but most of the time you're not. That implies everything is not wholesome. If we had a true wholesome society, you would never say the word wholesome. So that's the funny part. Is that why won't people choose it? Because you'll always choose evil, and that's the fucked up part. So what's stopping me from raping women?
I couldn't answer that for you. I have no idea.
Personally,
I mean, this is why Andrea Dorkin talks a lot. So yeah.
Well, I think I get what you're saying. Like, women should have control of their own bodies, and liberalism might not be perfect, but it's still the best system.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. I'm agreeing with the NAMBLA guy here, and that's a pretty low point for me. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
See,
women
he agrees
control
with me.
Their own bodies. Well, anyways, guys, I wanna thank you both very much for coming on. It's been a very informative, wholesome Chungus show. I know you don't like that term, but of all the world that is void of wholesomeness and Chungusness and 100ness, this place is a bastion for those who want to learn, who want to enlighten themselves. This Grillisha that's followed us for years, that has listened to every show, that's put it directly into their ear holes, into their brains, willingly, in most cases, I assume. Those people...
It's not rape if it's
are the
willing.
best people on the planet. I missed you guys. I guess that's the end of it. Do you have anything to plug, Pilleater?
Yeah, sure. I blog at www.pilleater.com. I'm on Twitter at twitter.com/realpilleater. But I make music. I have music on CD and vinyl, which you can find on my website too. I used to have an Instagram page, but now I have 11,000 followers on TikTok, and that's just at Pilleater. But you could just do a Google search of Pilleater. I have a lot of haters, but that's the life of a punk rock artist. And hey, no one said it would be easy to do it. You're going to have to face all these haters. You just be you and you tread on and you move on, Hellrock.
I understand that. People do tell me that, you know, I think you're actually secretly gay and like you're fat, not like yoked like Alex Jones, not fat yoked like him. You're just fat. I hear that sort of shit all the time. And yeah, you know, when you're an intellectual powerhouse and you're disrupting liberalism, as we all are, that is a problem you run into. And it's bullshit. Erik, you got anything to plug, buddy?
Yeah, I'm going to be on an episode of the Grillcast interviewing Pilleater. You might know him. He's the safe, sleazy guy. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, peace out, my Grilla. Holy fucking moly.
If you think I'm not number one,
another one for the history books. People in the future will be writing about this for generations upon generations. Can you believe it? I can't believe it.
Victory Royale when that chopper hit. Self-incrimination, I have no participation. News keep asking, I don't say shit. You can